a lot going on, Jim, and yet we're none the wiser about what exactly Boris Johnson wants to do when it comes to Brexit. What's your base case?
I think he craves the deal. You know, the one thing I think we know is this guy has spent a lot of time wanting to be Prime Minister, and he doesn't really have strong philosophical beliefs on a lot of things. So when it gets close to the pressure point, I think he's likely to bend to try and do a deal. I think you can see that overnight, right?
But the EU has said, guess you give us a proposal and we look at it.
Yeah.
Is the UK actually working on active proposals?
So he was interviewed live about 50 minutes ago on the Beeb, which I missed to come in here, so I don't quite know what he said, but I also heard one of the most vociferous of the so-called ERG, the really hardline Brexit crowd interviewed before, and he kind of said, if Boris comes back with a deal, we'll sign it, which was quite interesting.
Well, what kind of deal? Because it's you know, the backstop has been the most contentious point.
Whatever he thinks Brussels will give him, and he's lined up the ERG guys to sign, will be the story of the next few days. Whether that translates into whether the Brussels and, more importantly, EU capitals are like happy with it, that's another matter.
What is the chance of a no deal at this point?
I think it's pretty low. I have done for some time. And as you saw through all the kind of chaos of, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, Parliament will fight very hard to make sure that's off the table. Of course, Boris appears to be getting wonderful guidance from inside Number 10 that there's ways to walk around it, but I think in the next fortnight you will see fresh parliamentary efforts to make it very legally difficult for him to ignore them.
So what kind of deal could the EU and the UK agree on? Would it be something similar to the Theresa May deal, and Parliament would vote for that this time?
Probably, in my view, yeah. As I say, I mean,
and then elections?
Listening to the chair of the ERG this morning, who, you know, would be vehemently opposed to anything that Theresa May put on the table. We don't even really know what this latest proposal is, but he kind of said, listen, he was proud of the fact that he had personal text messaging going on with Boris, and therefore, if Boris is going to say here's the deal.
Do they need a deal to win the next election?
What's changed is a Prime Minister that is obsessed about being in power, and one that is supported by, I think, a group that's facing the reality that if they want to get out, they need to take what they can to get out and then start the process of what the long-term trade arrangements are. And I guess in that sense, a bit of realisation. I mean, I don't want to overly portray how simple or how obvious it is, but it looks to me as though the tough liners are coming into line a bit. And given the fact he's got no majority anyhow, he just ignored them.